This is a normal ant, and this is an ant under a microscope. Looks absolutely horrifying, unusual. It looks like a demon, a monster that may hunt you in your dreams. Why does it look so uncanny? Why is that so strange? When you look at an insect with your own eyes, you see something tiny, fast, and often unremarkable. But the moment you place that same creature under a microscope, it transforms. To understand why, we need to start with how a microscope really works. At its core, a microscope is nothing more than a machine that bends light. Lenses, precisely curved pieces of glass, take light rays bouncing off the specimen and bend them so our eyes can see a magnified image. The simplest version, the light microscope, can magnify up to about 1,000 times. That's enough to make the hidden structures of insects, like the hairs on their legs or the facets of their compound eyes, burst into focus. When we want to dive deeper, scientists turn to electron microscopes. These don't use light at all. Instead, they fire beams of electrons across the specimen, and sensors translate the data into an image. The result is breathtakingly sharp. You can see details as small as a few nanometers, far smaller than the wavelength of visible light. Under this kind of magnification, an insect stops being a bug and becomes a living machine. Every ridge and joint revealed in surreal clarity. Our eyes never evolved to see at this scale, so when we do, it feels uncanny. Microscopes also remind us of scale. To an insect, a single grain of dust is like a boulder. A drop of water is a massive sphere. The microscope lets us step into that world, but in doing so, it strips away the familiarity we rely on to feel safe. The insect under the lens isn't more dangerous than before, but it looks more powerful, more alien, and that is the secret of the microscope. Fear is one of the most ancient tools of survival. It keeps us alert, cautious, ready to react. When we look at insects under a microscope and feel a shiver run down our spine, that reaction is not random. It's rooted deep in the way our brains evolved. Psychologists call it the uncanny valley effect. We're comfortable with creatures that look familiar. Insects, on the other hand, have hard exoskeletons, spiny legs, and eyes that don't blink. They move in sudden, jerky patterns, nothing like the flowing motions of animals we trust. There's also an evolutionary angle. For millions of years, humans lived in close contact with insects, some of them harmless, others deadly. For example, mosquitoes carried malaria. Our ancestors who reacted with disgust or fear at the sight of these creatures had a better chance of avoiding infection and of surviving. That wiring is still in us today. Our body instinctively recoils, even though we're in no danger behind the glass lens. Yet it's important to realize the microscope isn't inventing these horrors, it's simply revealing what was always there. Our fear arises because we're seeing insects in a way evolution never intended. Long before humans walked the earth, insects were already here. In fact, they are among the oldest land-dwelling animals, with a fossil record that stretches back more than 400 million years. When we study these ancient remains, we're not just looking at dead creatures in stone, we're staring at the ancestors of the bugs that still fly around us today. The earliest confirmed insects appear in the Devonian period, over 390 million years ago. They were simple, but they carried the blueprint for the billions of species that would follow. By the Carboniferous period, insects had exploded in both size and diversity. Earth's atmosphere contained far more oxygen than today, which allowed some of them to grow to terrifying proportions. Fossils reveal dragonflies with wingspans of over 70 centimeters, massive millipedes longer than a human, and predatory insects with jaws strong enough to slice through other arthropods. For early amphibians and reptiles, these giants ruled the skies and forests like airborne monsters. What's remarkable is that some insect lineages from that era are still alive. Cockroaches, for example, can be traced back more than 300 million years with only minor changes to their body plan. When we look at a cockroach today, we're essentially seeing a living fossil, an organism so well adapted that it has survived mass extinctions, shifting continents, and drastic climate change. The microscope deepens this story when we place fossilized wings or antennae under high magnification. It reminds us that insects are not just survivors, they are some of evolution's most enduring experiments. Insects were here before the dinosaurs, and they'll almost certainly be here long after us. Their ancient past explains their modern resilience, and it's part of why, when we see them magnified, they feel both alien and eternal. When most people imagine insects under a microscope, they expect nightmares. But magnification doesn't only reveal horror. Sometimes it uncovers patterns and colors so intricate they look like works of art. Take the wings of a butterfly. To the naked eye, they appear soft, colorful, and delicate. Under a microscope, we discover they are covered in thousands of tiny overlapping scales, arranged like tiles on a mosaic. Each one reflects and bends light in subtle ways, creating iridescent blues, fiery oranges, or shimmering greens. It's not paint, it's physics, color born from microscopic structure. Beetles offer another example. Many species wear armor that gleams like polished metal. Under magnification, the surface reveals micro grooves and textures that scatter light in dazzling patterns. What might look like a hard black shell in your garden beetle, even the compound eyes of flies, features often labeled creepy, can seem strangely mesmerizing up close. Perfect hexagonal arrays stretch across their surface, each lens catching light. Instead of a monster's gaze, it becomes a kaleidoscope, repeating the world thousands of times. It is beauty through geometry, though our instincts still whisper unease. Perhaps that's the greatest revelation. Beauty and horror are not opposites. In the world of insects, they live side by side, inseparable, reminding us that even the most frightening creatures can also be breathtaking.